Govinda Adipurusha Govinda Adipurusha Vedam Pravantam Maravindarayataksha Varhavatam Samadam Urasudayam Kantarpakoti Kamaniya Visheshesha Shukam Govinda Adipurusha Tamaham Angani Asya Sakre Dimanti Pasyanti Panti Karyanti Chiram Jagati Adamachimaya Sadhu Jvala Vigrahasya Govinda Adipurusha
Adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham tamaham Adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Govindam Adipurusham Govindam Adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham.
Namo Vedavinashakarin Madhishtigochar Prabhu Prabhupada Swamin Doshari Vritti Padidushinamanda Buddhe Sanchintayami Charanota Bhakti Hecho Vrindavane Ramanaviti Prasita Bhuma Akrapti Krishna Balarama Supada Mule Jnanam Paramparam Krishna Siddhambi Yuktam Dantastu Deva Prabhupada Namo Namaste 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 Kripa Purna Drusti Namaste Namaste Mahananda Dati Namamo Namama Buddhasya Raksha Prasida Prabhu Pasina Raksha Raksha Bhakti Siddhanta Shishaya Bhaktivedanta Namani Prasannaya Prasantaya Tasmai Shri Gurudev Namaha Shri Rangalomi Prabhushana Gora Lila Gauranga Bhavi Prashavana Mantra Shila Radha Mukunda Paramatma Madhuri Dasi Ananda Rasi Prabhupada Namo Namaste Namaste Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Prashade Bhai He Bhava Toriya Jai Krishna Bhakti Hoy Jaha Jai
विनाश होते नर बंधु पद छाया प्रभु करो दया दे हमारी पद छाया जय प्रभु जय प्रभु जय प्रभु जय प्रभु प्रभु श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत निधि नामिने
सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी अष्टाभ्य देशकारिणे
धन्यवादी देश
प्रभु नित्यानंद
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
ఉన్నావా ఇస్తావా చల్లారిపోయి
Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, His divine message is Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Arcanabhakti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namaskar Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Thakur ki jai. Principal Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Swami Maharaj Gaurav ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Radha ki Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadri Mayapur Dham ki jai. Gamna Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shamadeta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanand. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Lotus feet of our spiritual master, the only by which to attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. At his grace, looking across the ocean of material suffering, and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is that my consciousness is purified by the origin of the lotus mouth. Attachment to the lotus feet, the perfection that fills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, Lord of the earth. From him ecstatic preeminence. By him ignorance is destroyed. He makes scripture our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. Lord, master of the devotees. O master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the where he grows. Take shelter of the lotus feet. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming to the morning program today. I'd like to welcome in our Zoom audience, those joining us on YouTube as well. Today's Srimad Bhagavatam class will be given by Mother Arcanabhakti. Yeah, thank you. Just a reminder for those at home that are watching, if you can just stay on mute. We're going to do a little differently than we do the other days when it's completely on Zoom. The call and response will be done here live in the temple room. Okay, thank you very much. After the class, breakfast will be served for those here at the temple.
Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha
Kunja Bihari.
His Divine Grace, Abhay Chandrajana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Itai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Mudiraye
Tato Jayam Udiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayeshu Vabhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya
Bhagavatyuttama Shloke
Bhagavati Tuma Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki
Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 Chapter 15 The Pandavas Retired Time. Yaya haradbhuvo bharam
Yamaratuvaparam
tam tanum vijahavajaha
Tantanu Vijaharaja
kantakam kantake neva
Kantakam Kantaki Neva
dvayam chapi shituh samam
Vayam Shapishitu Samam
Yaya haradbhuvo bharam
Yamaratuvaparam
tam tanum vijahavajaha
Tantanu Vijaharaja
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
यया हरद्भुवभारम्
तां तनुं विजहावजः
तां तनुं विजहावजः
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
यया हरद्भुवभारम्
तां तनुं विजहावजः
तां तनुं विजहावजः
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
तां तनुं विजहावजः
तां तनुं विजहावजः
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम् यया हरद्भुवो भारम् तां तनुं विजहावजः कंटकं कंटकेनेव द्वयं चापि शितुः समम् यया हरद्भुवो भारम् तां तनुं विजहावजः कंटकं कंटकेनेव द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम् तां तनुं विजहावजः कंटकं कंटकेनेव
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम् Ladies,
Yaya
sorry.
Bhuvo Param
यया हरद्भुवो भारम्
Vijaha Pajaha
तां तनुं विजहावजः
Kantakam Kantakineva
कंटकं कंटकेनेव
Vayam Chapi Shitu Samam
द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया
हरद्भुवो भारम्
तां तनुं विजहावजः
कंटकं कंटकेनेव द्वयं चापि शितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारम् तां तनुं विजहावजः कंटकं कंटकेनेव द्वयं चापि शितुः समम् यया हरद्भुवो भारम् तां तनुं विजहावजः कंटकं कंटकेनेव द्वयं चापि शितुः समम् Word-to-word translation. Yaya,
Yaya
that by which.
that by which
Aharat,
Aharat
took away.
took away
Bhuvaha,
Bhuvaha
of the world.
of the world,
Bharam,
Bharam
burden.
burden,
Tam,
Tam
that.
that,
Tanum,
Tanum
body.
body,
Vijahau,
Vijahau,
relinquished.
relinquished.
Ajaha,
Ajaha,
the unborn.
the unborn.
Kantakam,
Kantakam,
thorn.
thorn.
Kantakena,
Kantakena,
by the thorn.
by the thorn.
Eva,
Shiva,
like that.
like that.
Vayam,
Vayam,
both.
both.
Shri Radha Shalabh Bihari Bhavan ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Govinda ki jai.
Cha,
Also,
also.
api,
Api,
although,
although.
ishituhu,
Ishituhu,
controlling,
controlling.
samam,
Samam,
equal.
equal.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Supreme Unborn, Lord Sri Krishna, caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn, though both are the same to the controller. Please repeat. The Supreme Unborn,
The Supreme Unborn,
Lord Sri Krishna,
Lord Sri Krishna,
caused the members of the Yadu dynasty
caused the members of the Yadu dynasty
to relinquish their bodies,
to relinquish their bodies,
and thus
and thus
he relieved the burden of the world.
relieve the burden of the world.
This action
This action
was like picking out a thorn
was like picking out a thorn
with a thorn,
with a thorn.
though both are the same to the controller.
Though both are the same to the controller.
Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur suggests that the rishis like Shaunaka and others who were hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Suta Goswami at Naimisharanya were not happy to hear about the Yadus dying in the madness of intoxication. To give them relief from this mental agony, Suta Goswami assured them that the Lord caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, by which they had to take away the burden of the world. The Lord and his eternal associates appeared on earth to help the administrative demigods in eradicating the burden of the world. He therefore called for some of the confidential demigods to appear in the Yadu family and serve him in his great mission. After the mission was fulfilled, the demigods, by the will of the Lord, relinquished their corporeal bodies by fighting amongst themselves in the madness of intoxication. The demigods are accustomed to drinking the somaras beverage, and therefore the drinking of wine and intoxication are not unknown to them. Sometimes they were put into trouble for indulging in intoxication. Once the sons of Kuvera fell in the wrath of Narada for being intoxicated, but afterwards they regained their original forms by the grace of the Lord Sri Krishna. We shall find this story in the 10th canto. For the Supreme Lord, both the Asuras and the demigods are equal, but the demigods are obedient to the Lord, whereas the Asuras are not. Therefore, the example of picking out a thorn by another thorn is quite befitting. One thorn which causes pinpricks on the leg of the Lord is certainly disturbing to the Lord, and the other thorn which takes out the disturbing elements certainly gives service to the Lord. So, although every living being is a part and parcel of the Lord, still one who is a pinprick to the Lord is called an Asura, and one who is a voluntary servitor of the Lord is called a Devata or demigod. In the material world, the Devatas and Asuras are always contending, and the Devatas are always saved from the hands of the Asuras by the Lord. Both of them are under the control of the Lord. The world is full of two kinds of living beings, and the Lord's mission is always to protect the Devatas and destroy the Asuras whenever there is such a need in the world, and to do good to both of them. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadamtikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yaya harad bhuvo bharam tam tanum vijahavajaha kantakam kantakeneva dvayam chapishituhu samam. So the context is Arjun revealed to Yudhishthir Maharaj that all the family members of Krishna, they all killed each other. Just 4 or 5 of them are left. And even Krishna has left this planet. He has left this world. So when Yudhishthir Maharaj heard this, he prepared to leave also. And then when Kunti Maharani heard this, she also became absorbed in devotional service very sincerely to leave this world. And after that, we come to this verse. So here is a point. So this conversation is going on between Suta Goswami and the sages at Naimisharanya. So Suta Goswami said that the family members of Krishna, they all got intoxicated and they killed each other with weapons. The stronger Yadus killed the weaker Yadus. In this way, they all finished each other. So this, by hearing this, all the sages, they got disturbed. This is Krishna's family, his immediate family. And they got intoxicated and they killed each other. How is it possible? So therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving us a commentary on this verse. So the verse itself is saying, the supreme unborn Lord Sri Krishna caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies. So how is it possible that Krishna's family members, under the influence of intoxication, killed each other and the whole family is finished? How is this possible? Yeah, it's not possible. Unless Krishna desired it himself. It's just like Arjun, he is an eternal associate of Krishna, he is a constant associate of Krishna. How did he come under the influence of illusion? How did he become bewildered? There's only one answer, because Krishna desired it. Krishna gave that illusion to Arjuna. Otherwise, it's not possible for a pure devotee to be an illusion. Similarly, here also the Yadus, being the family members of Krishna, how is it possible that they can be intoxicated and kill each other? It's only possible because Krishna did that. He made it happen. So now the next question is, why would Krishna do this? Why would he have his immediate family members kill themselves like this, in this way? So in order to understand that, first of all, we have to understand the situation in this material world. We have to understand who the family members of Krishna were, who these Yadus are. And then we will understand why they actually, or Krishna caused them to give up their bodies. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. So if before that Krishna says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijam. So whenever there is a decline in religious practices and a rise in irreligion, then Krishna says he appears in order to re-establish the religious principles. And also when he comes here, he delivers the devotees, the pious, and he annihilates the miscreants. This is Krishna's mission. Whenever Krishna comes to this material world, that is Krishna's mission. He comes for that purpose. Not that he comes for that purpose, but while he's here, he does that. So, we all remember how in Krishna book we read in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, Bhumi Devi was, she was in great distress because of the demoniac kings, these asuras, demons. They had built these big military armies, and they were trampling on her, and she couldn't bear their weight. So she went and pleaded with Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma took her along with all the demigods and went to Shvetadvip, and there they all offered prayers to the Supreme Lord. And it was revealed to them, the Lord asked the demigods he said, I'm going to come. So actually Kshirodakashayi Vishnu reveals to the demigods that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, so the Lord revealed it in the heart of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is revealing to all the demigods through Lord Brahma, he's revealing it, that the Lord wants all the demigods to take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty. So when Krishna comes, his supremacy is a stage to show his supremacy to the whole world, the position of Krishna to the whole world. So Krishna brings his eternal associates from the spiritual world, but he also recruits some personalities from the material world. So he asked the demigods to take birth in the family of the Yadus. So some denizens, they appeared, they became Krishna's wives. Some demigods became Krishna's sons, and some became his grandsons, like that. So Krishna had a big family. He had 16,108 wives. Each wife had 10 sons and a daughter, and each son had 10 sons. And then they had their wives and their children. So Srila Prabhupada says Krishna's immediate family was 100 times 100,000. That's how big his family was. And it consisted of course, there were his eternal associates, some were his eternal associates, but also all these demigods from the heavenly planets. Why did Krishna call them? For this mission of Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. To protect the devotees, that Krishna does himself. He will give protection to the devotees. There's elaborate commentaries given by our acharyas. What is that protection? So Krishna really, his protection is the devotees are in separation from Krishna. And that can only be satisfied by Krishna. The demigods cannot give that protection. Because what is the protection that the devotees are seeking? The devotees are not really seeking any, because what does Lord Brahma say? Lord Brahma says, Tattenu kampasi samikshamana, right? Whatever miseries I'm suffering, it is because of my own past misdeeds. They tolerate them. But there is one pain that the devotees are not able to tolerate, which is separation from Krishna. They want to see the beautiful face of Krishna. So that can be fulfilled only by Krishna. So that protection of the devotees is taken care of by Krishna. But annihilation of miscreants, that can be done by the demigods. So, or Krishna's agents, or his expansions. So the demigods, now who are his family members, they killed big demons. In order to annihilate the demons, they had come. And now it's time for Krishna's disappearance. He's going to leave this world. And Krishna thought, after I leave, all these powerful yadus, these yadus, Krishna knows they are the demigods. But what are they thinking? They think we are the family members of Krishna. We are the immediate relatives of Krishna. After Krishna's disappearance, what is going to happen? They will all become puffed up. They will all become puffed up. And we have seen it time and again. In different types of faiths, it happens. Srila Prabhupada explains Nityananda Prabhu's family, his descendants, they claim to be Nityananda Vamsa. So it's their prerogative. You know, Krishna consciousness is their prerogative. It can only come through them. And Srila Prabhupada also says about Hazrat Muhammad, his family members. They also claim that they are the chosen ones because they are descending from that Acharya or, Messiah. So, Srila Prabhupada said Jesus Christ didn't marry, so that didn't happen. But if he had descendants, if he had married, then probably his descendants would also say that. So they would become puffed up and then they would try to exploit that situation. So there's one thing that we should understand here. Who is a demon and who is a devotee? So one explanation that is given in Padma Purana is that Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Daiva Asurastad Viparyaya. One who is a devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Daiva or a demigod. The opposite of that is demon, Asura. In other words, anyone who is obedient to the Supreme Lord, he is Devata. And anyone who is disobedient to the Supreme Lord, he is Asura. So what is the symptom of Asura? Asura is puffed up. And what is the symptom of a demigod? He is humble because he recognizes that he is the Supreme Lord, he is the Master, and he accepts that I am a servant. Krishna is the Master, I am a servant. Srila Prabhupada further elaborates on this. Just like Krishna is on the altar, he is just like us. He has 2 hands, we have 2 hands. He has 1 head, we have 1 head. He has 2 legs, we have 2 legs. So we are the same. But still there is a difference. Eko jo bahunam yo vidadati kaman. So nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko jo bahunam yo vidadati kaman. Yes, he is also a conscious, sentient, living being. And we are also. But he is the maintainer. We are maintained. He is the protector. We are protected. He is the master. We are the servants. One who recognizes this, he is a devotee. One who denies this fact and calls himself the master, he is asura. So, Srila Prabhupada gives another example of in this world, some people can say, I don't care for the government. He may say that, but he gets arrested, he's put in the prison, he's punished. Still he says, I don't care for the government. Does it make sense? You are arrested by the government means you're controlled by the government. And still you're saying, I don't care for the government means I'm crazy if I'm making such statements. So really, the demons are actually crazy. If they say that we don't care for God, that is a demon. Anyone who does not accept the authority of the Lord. So this is an asura. He is puffed up. Further elaboration on this. Is it really bad to be in the position of a servant from our experience in this world? Well, in a perverted situation, it may be bad. But actually, the way the situation is made is that, for example, Shudras. Paricharyatmakam karma, Shudra karma, Swabhavajam. The nature, quality of the Shudra is he has to serve someone else. He has to work under someone else. He is most happy when he is actually serving someone else. It doesn't mean that if I'm serving under someone else, that means I'm exploited. It's not a good position to be a servant. It is not like that. Similarly, about women and children, it is said, it is good for them to be under the protection of a man, either the father or husband or a grown-up son. They are happy in that situation. It doesn't mean that because I'm under someone's protection, now that person can exploit me. Although it is happening, that exploitation is happening. About Vaishyas, cows are given under the protection of the Vaishyas. Now if the Vaishya says, because the cows are under my protection, let me open slaughterhouses. I will kill the cows because they're given under my protection. He's not a Vaishya because he's exploiting. He is taking undue advantage of the situation. But that's not how the system is made. In Vedic culture, there is a protector and then there are those who are protected. So similarly, to be a servant of the Supreme Lord is a natural position. It is a happy condition. But that will only be accepted by a devotee. Asura will not accept it. He will do something else. He'll do the opposite. What's that? 750. Namam dushkritino muda prapadyante naradama. Mayaya pahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashita. Asuram bhavam ashita. Those who have taken shelter of asuri bhava. Asura bhava means this. They will never bow down before the Supreme Lord. They will never accept the Supreme Lord's authority. That is asura. So Krishna is thinking, now my family members will become asuras. Actually, they're demigods, but after Krishna's disappearance, they will become asuras. So now you may question, well, if they're demigods, how they can become asuras? Isn't it? They're demigods. Demigods are supposed to be obedient to the Supreme Lord. How they will become asuras? By association. When we associate with the modes, we can become. People are not born, or in other words, it's not that certain living entities are always asuras and certain living entities are always demigods. It's by association, one either becomes a demigod or a demon, and we have that choice. So, Srila Prabhupada gives this example that when you eat food at a friend's house or somewhere else, if that food is contaminated, if you eat it, you also get contaminated. For example, if a person is infected with typhoid or cholera, you eat their food, you will also get the disease. So, if you associate with the modes of passion and ignorance, you will also get the qualities of passion and ignorance. What are the qualities? Lust, greed, anger. These are all the qualities of the demons. So, in the presence of Krishna, they were all very good in Krishna's presence. But after Krishna left, they would all become puffed up. And then, because they are so powerful, look at their number. 100 times 100,000. They would be practically ruling the whole earth. And then they would be demanding that we are the family members of Krishna. Who would be able to control them? Besides, they had come here for a particular purpose. What was the purpose that they came here for? To annihilate the demons. Krishna had empowered them for this particular mission. So after the mission is completed, they didn't belong here. They have to go back to their particular places and take care of their responsibilities there. So therefore, Krishna arranged for these yadus, who were actually the demigods, to fight amongst themselves, because no one from outside could do that. Nobody was as powerful as them. They had to kill each other. That's why it is said, Kantakam Kantake Naiva. You use one thorn to remove another thorn. When there is a thorn stuck, prick in your foot, you use another thorn to remove it. That's the thing. And then after you remove it, what do? Do you preserve that thorn? No, that's also finished, right? Similarly, the demigods were called to relieve the burden of the earth from all these demons. And after that was done, now they didn't have any purpose here. So therefore, they were also sent back. That is the thing. So now, often we see in so many pastimes that Krishna comes and he's killing and also it is said that always, right? Krishna is always protecting the demigods from the hands of the demons. But it is also said that he's doing good to both of them. So if he's killing one person and if he's protecting another person, at the same time he's doing good to both of them. How do you explain that? Because originally everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. So a father has 4 sons. So it doesn't mean that he has, he favors one son more over the other. But a son who is obedient, he naturally becomes an object of the father's affection. It's just natural. Now, don't the other children have the same opportunity? They can also become obedient and they will also win the favor of the father. How can you say that the father is being partial? So it's really in our hands. If I want the Lord to protect me, then I have to be a daiva. I have to accept the supremacy of the Lord. I have to accept myself as a servant of the Lord. But if I take the side of Asura, that I will fight against the Lord, then the consequences he will fight, he'll kill me. But from his side, he's actually being good to both. You understand? So those were a few points. If there's any discussion, we can discuss now. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhuji.
You mentioned about when the demigods went to sleep and weep on the shore of the Milk Ocean, and Lord Brahma got the message in his heart and he gave it to the demigods that they should all take birth to assist the Lord in his mission in the Yadu dynasty. So we know that some demigods, for example, Yamaraj, he left his post and was born as Vidura.
Yeah.
So they had to get a replacement.
Mhm.
But it seems like some of the demigods didn't actually leave their post because we have, Lord Brahma is there, with the trying to steal the calves and the cowherd boys. And you have Indra, who reigned on the residents of Vrindavan,
Mhm.
and the Lord Shiva was also fighting along with Banasura.
Mhm.
So how did those demigods? Was it only some of the demigods that left their post, or was there some other thing that happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that everyone has to come. Some demigods can participate and some demigods can stay back, but also demigods can expand. The partial expansions can come and participate here, and they can also be ruling there in their particular posts. For example, when we see in the Samudra Manthan Leela, the demigods and the demons were standing on either side of the Mandara mountain, holding Vasuki. And in the beginning, when they, as they started, the whole mountain fell in the ocean. So then the Lord came as the tortoise, right? Kurma Bhagavan, he came underneath and held up the mountain. Then Ajita Bhagavan, with his thousands of arms, he went again on top also, on top of the mountain, and with one of his hands he was holding. Then it is said that from all the upper planets, demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, they were showering flowers on the Lord and they were offering prayers to him. So then the question is, are they standing here with the Vasuki or they're up there showering flowers? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, they expanded themselves. So it is possible for the demigods to expand like that. Prabhupada.
So some of the demigods were expanded themselves to participate as Krishna's family in the other day.
Yeah.
And your point about the demigods becoming puffed up after Krishna's departure.
Mm.
Some of the demigods became puffed up even with Krishna present.
Yes.
For example, Indra. What to speak of after he left. And even though just a short time before Indra was praying to Lord Krishna in the womb.
Yeah.
Still. So is it that particularly because they were going to be on the earth, that they would be more susceptible to becoming puffed up when they went back to the planet?
Well, Indra was puffed up even when he was in the heavenly planets. No, but it was Krishna's personal presence. They were in close proximity with Krishna. They were with him, his immediate associates. We can see even in our movement, when Srila Prabhupada was personally present, everything was so vibrant. Everyone was practicing Krishna consciousness. It's like, I think you didn't have to struggle to stay Krishna conscious. It's like you just carried in that. That's the powerful presence of an exalted personality, a spiritual personality. But then after Srila Prabhupada's departure, gradually, some devotees, many devotees started to fall away. So yes, it is the influence of this material nature. But when the Supreme Lord is present, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoy Andhakar, Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Where Krishna is present, he's like the sun. How can darkness come in front of Krishna? Like that. So but after Krishna's departure, then you can become susceptible, provided, if you are taking shelter of Krishna, like even though Krishna left, Srimad Bhagavatam had appeared. So if we maintain our Krishna consciousness, then we are protected. But if we are careless, then Maya is right there, right? Maya and Krishna is there side by side. So like that. So after Krishna's departure, they would become more vulnerable like that. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, probably.
When prior to this, when Yudhishthira Maharaj was seeing all the evil omens and Lord, and because Lord Krishna had departed, and there was Arjuna had gone to see Lord Krishna in Dwarka to find out what his work was. So he said that there were 7 months had passed
Mhm.
and he hadn't come. But in the meantime, we knew, but before that, we find out that Vidura also already knew that Lord Krishna had left.
Yes,
But he didn't want to tell the Pandavas because they would become too mortified.
yes.
So is it that for 7 months, nobody knew that, I mean, it would seem like it was a big deal, but if Krishna with Balaram, all of the others that departed.
Yeah, nobody knew. Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't know, and there was no news. That's why Yudhishthira Maharaj was concerned. Yeah, they didn't know for 7 months. Of course, Yudhishthira Maharaj was seeing the omens, but yeah, they didn't know. That's what we read in Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, he was, I mean, they knew it was coming because Narad Muni said that it was going to happen, but they didn't know exactly when. They even knew, actually, it said like after 36 years after, Krishna was cursed by Gandhari. So Yudhishthira Maharaj would rule for 36 years. And that's why they were actually, they knew it was happening, but at the same time, when you don't want to hear that, right? You dread the worst. So therefore, they had that fear, but actual news came when Arjun revealed it to them. But the fear was there.
I'm just thinking that, when Vidura came and it was welcomed by the Pandavas and started to preach to Dhritarashtra, the Prabhupada mentions that Yudhishthira welcomed him with his younger brothers, but Arjun is never specifically mentioned.
Yes, yes.
So it might be, and this is all speculation, it might be that Arjun had already left and gone before.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, you think, well, there were saw those evil omens, so some months later was, well, exactly did you see those evil omens? Just at the disappearance of Lord Krishna.
Actually, Arjun went in the 36th year because he knew Krishna was going to depart soon. His idea was he wanted to go and see Krishna for one last time before Krishna departed. And in another place we see when Krishna arrived, the scene was, Arjun, yeah. When he arrived there on the Dwarka, already they were at Prabhasa and they were fighting and all that. So it all happened the same time. Like that. Very tragic for the Pandavas. But then also Arjun was taking care of, afterwards. So all that counts in the 7 months.
Yes.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Yudhishthira Maharaj is seeing all these omens, but he didn't get any news. He didn't hear. But he could understand, just like, like when the conversation between Uddhava and Vidura, right? He didn't want to hear it, but still he's asking so many questions from Uddhava. Did this happen? Did that happen? And then he actually hears the news. So like that. So they knew it was coming, and maybe by the symptoms he could even understand. And we see at the end of the chapter, he says, is it because Krishna has departed already? So it was there in his heart, but he didn't want to face it like that. Okay. No questions on my end.
Let me see if there's any hands up.
There are no hands up.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay. All right.
Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Jai. Thank you, Mother Arcanabhakti.